What's up everybody, my name is Vincent. Welcome to Cryptolution, where we talk about everything on the moon and the crypto universe. Today's Friday, November 21st. Now in today's dog video, I want to talk about the macro market because we could see some signs, a light at the end of the tunnel that things may be reversing. Now I'm actually seeing that Bitcoin dominance may be dropping and altcoin dominance is actually rising. And due to this news, it also, to kind of add icing on top, a federal rate cut actually could be due on December 10th. And that is regards to a recent comment that a Fed Williams has just made publicly that has increased the chances from 30 to 70% chance a rate cut could happen. Now, how does this overall affect the market? What could actually happen over the weekend? Well, let's talk about it in this video and look into charting and analysis because it's all pays tribute to Dog. So smash up that like button, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to join us on X. Please be careful with aiming the scammers down in the comments below. I'll never reach out via WhatsApp, Telegram, direct messaging, or email. So please be careful and invest safely. Guys and girls, let's get right into it. Okay, so roughly right now, Dog is at 113 million market cap, has been trading sideways. Now let's look at the overall meme coin market. Everything is still pretty much down over the past 24 hours, but we're seeing over the past hour, things are slightly coming back up. Now, when we're looking at Pudgy Penguin, say for instance, not too long ago, this used to be at around 0.014. It's now 0.010. So this used to be over 700 million market cap. SPX 6900. Remember, these used to be over $1 billion to $2 billion. SPX 6900 over 1.5 billion. Pudgy Penguins over 2 billion. So they've definitely lost a lot of their value. And Dog is no exception to that. In fact, Dog is still in the range where I feel this cycle, when the altcoin market does come back, which I do believe is just right around the corner, Dog is going to do well. So this is why I think it's a great time to dollar cost average and accumulate. Now let's look into Bitcoin's price. It's up 1.59% over the past 24 hours. It's at 84,000. By the way, if you're wanting to buy Bitcoin, this is the best time to do it. Any of your favorite assets, this is the time to do it because this cycle is very different from previous cycles. Now, I want to talk about the market maker that was kind of exposed, and this is something that I've been talking about a lot on our channel, and Tom Lee just proved me right. So apparently yesterday, Tom Lee was on CNBC talking about why do we think that the crypto market has pretty much crippled. Well, he brings up October 10th. If you remember, October 10th is when we had that huge flash crash, which I will share with you in the charting analysis and how that affected everything. But there was a market maker that experienced a glitch. And because of this reduced liquidity, positions are auto deleveraged, which means that traders are forced to close because someone else blew up so badly that the insurance fund couldn't cover the losses. So what's really important about this is that Tom Lee thinks that this recovery could be even faster than the drift down. So as much as you saw over the past 42 days that the crypto market's been going down, well, guess what? It can go right back up really quickly. And guess who that market maker is? None other than Wintermute. Okay, so I've been talking about Wintermute for such a long time now. I've been telling you that Binance and Wintermute have been manipulating the market, and we just got confirmation of just those reasons, right? And now, Tom Lee didn't say Wintermute, but because if he did say Wintermute, he actually would be in trouble, meaning like probably Wintermute would sue them or sue him for defamatory reasons. And also, you don't want to, cause any controversy, but I know it's Wintermute for sure. And all of a sudden, this morning, we saw that Wintermute wrote an article saying the head of the OTC trading over at Wintermute shares crypto why Fed uncertainty is the key factor suppressing risk-taking across crypto and broader markets, which, by the way, I think is complete BS. I think they'll do anything and say anything just to get other people to look somewhere else. But also, remember, Binance was also behind this as well, because Binance works with Wintermute quite a bit. And remember, this was back on December 10th when Hei Yi, by the way, works for Binance. Her position as the co-founder and chief customer service and officer. She was saying, we're so sorry for anybody that was affected by the outage, people that were able to get their orders fulfilled, people who got liquidated. Guess what? We're going to cover you for those substantial losses. And honestly, it didn't cover that much in terms of compensations. It's ridiculous. But guess what? Just recently, we're starting to see that Binance is actually clearing their books and actually starting to buy into assets. So what's really interesting is that I've actually noticed that Circle and Coinbase have actually put in deposits with Wintermute. Because remember, Wintermute doesn't just work with Binance. Wintermute works for all exchanges. It's one of the powerful market makers within crypto. So you're starting to see Coinbase and Circle deposit funds into Wintermute so that they are buying back assets. And so most of these are USDC or USDT Tether, which are stablecoins. Now, another thing I want to talk about is how oversold we are, because over the past 21 days, apparently on Coinbase Premium Index, they've been in a negative, which is the longest sell streak of this cycle. And this cycle's only been around roughly around 1.5 years. But here's another important chart. Check out this. This is the Binance Bitcoin deleveraging signal. And what you'll see is that every single time that we have these major deleveraging signals, there's followed by a Bitcoin rally. It happened over here, over here, over here, and now today over here. So what do you think is going to happen when this deleveraging signal ends? Well, I think Bitcoin's price is going to go back up along with the crypto market. Now, here's something that I think Mike Alfred brought up, a really great point. They are pulling out all the stops to try to manipulate Bitcoin lower using perps and futures and other derivatives. They are working overtime to try to scare people out of their corn. Do not fall for it. They are running one of the biggest scams I've ever seen in markets, period. And he's absolutely right. But things could absolutely change because right now we are in 42 days ever since October 10th, as of today, since we've been in a downtrend within the whole crypto market. So how does 42 days reflect on other bull market corrections? Well, in bull market corrections in the past history, they can last roughly from 3 weeks to up to 3 to 4 months. So we're kind of in this range where we saw the September 2023 bull market correction. So we're in that range, but could it go up to 81? I really doubt it. I actually feel like this is going to be something kind of similar to September 2023. But remember, this cycle can keep going. This is an abnormal cycle, very different from others because retail is not here. Mainly hedge funds and institutions have been propping up Bitcoin's price, and Lynn Alden has something to say about this because she believes that the Bitcoin cycle will go on longer than people expect because it's not being driven by the halving event. It's because of the broader macro and liquidity issues that we're not seeing these euphoric tops, because of the amount of liquidity that's not being pumped into our system, and we're not getting these ton of rate cuts that are like, really, we need a 50 basis point rate cut. We also need the money printer turned on. We need stimulus checks. All these things matter so much that money is really tight. So when quantitative tightening ends by December 1st, which is just right around the corner, hopefully that could be the reversal of the extended bull market for crypto and Bitcoin. Now, another thing is VanEck believes that the sell-off isn't the whales. They believe it's mid-cycle holders dumping their bags. And these are the short-term holders, by the way, okay? These aren't the people that hold on to their bags for years, not like the OG whales. I'm talking about the people that just bought in maybe in 2021, or maybe even 2017 for that matter, not all the way back into 2012 or 2013. We're talking about mid-cycle short-term holders. And it's absolutely true. We've shared with you the data on the specific channel. And to kind of confirm this, the bull market peak indicators, all 30 of them still have not been peaking. All of them are so low that really none of them have reached into the red zone. And that means it's time to sell. But right now, everything's in the green zone, meaning hold your Bitcoin, hold your crypto. The bull market has not ended yet. We still have a lot of ways to go. And here's also another thing from Bitcoin Vector. The Bitcoin liquidity is tight and needs to reset into full extension. And every single time that we see these liquidity tightens, it literally resets everything in terms of liquidity. And you can see that very reflective in the price. So every single time we see these liquidity tightening reset bars, you see that right now, Bitcoin reacts really strongly to that right afterwards, aligned to what's going on over here, same thing over here, same thing over here, and now we're seeing another one right now as of today. That's very exciting. Let's talk about altcoins. So this is the altcoins, excluding the top 10 by market cap versus Bitcoin. Now, as you've noticed, right now, altcoins are actually receiving a lot of dominance. Now, Bitcoin dominance remains neutral, but still, this is something to pay attention to. Because what if this is the very beginning of altcoin season that no one really is talking about? Now, Matthew Hyland points out, look at this. If you pay attention to the MACD within the altcoin dominance chart, you see that altcoins right now just saw a reversal right over here in terms of the MACD. Now, the last time we saw something like this, yeah, I mean, it could be considered something like this over here, but we also saw something like that over here. And now this is in the seller's market. Once that reverses, can you imagine what's going to happen to altcoin dominance? We may not have to hit the 0.08 mark, right? Maybe this is actually the very first time where altcoin dominance starts to go back up. And here's another thing, USDT. Now, this is the USDT market cap. So that's the Tether stablecoin. Now, what I've noticed is that people have had a ton of stablecoins sitting on the sidelines, and you're starting to see that happen with USDT. So what happens when you have USDT and also all these other stablecoins on Ethereum sitting on the sidelines, roughly $72 billion. Eventually, since we reached a new all-time high, eventually that's going to be deployed in Bitcoin, in Ethereum, all your crypto assets that you like, is going to be deployed. It's going to pump everything right back up. And here's some breaking news. Have you noticed that all of a sudden, if you go to the CME Fed Watch tool, that the chances of a 25 basis point rate cut have increased from 30 to over 70%, right now 69? This just happened out of nowhere, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, yesterday we just covered this. It was at 30%. And why is that? Why did this change? Well, apparently Fed Williams sees room for an interest rate cut in the near term. He's talking about December 10th. That's right around the corner. And this is why we saw an increase of a rate cut potentially happening. And this is sending crypto markets kind of frantic right now. Now, let's talk about DOG. Look at this top 100 wallets. Roughly around 81 million DOG tokens were bought. This is as of yesterday, November 20th. So the net accumulation was roughly 33 million tokens, even though some of them sold around 48. Still, they're very active in accumulating. But first, I want to talk about Bitcoin, okay? Let's talk about Bitcoin before we talk about the altcoins and DOG. So every single time that we see pullbacks in these bull markets, it's actually quite necessary for that reset, as we mentioned in this video. Now, regarding this Bitcoin chart, what do we want to pay attention to? Okay, mainly this. Now, what's really interesting is that BlackRock announced ETFs, and then all of a sudden, all these other hedge funds decided to do ETFs as well. But BlackRock started this whole bull run. And so hedge funds and institutions started garnering more interest because they had the largest asset manager in the world talking about Bitcoin. Then Bitcoin reached a new all-time high before the 2024 halving at around $73,000. Now, the reason that's important is because if we look in the past, so look at the 2020 halving. Bitcoin did not reach an all-time high price until after the 2020 halving. And look at the previous time. Look at the 2016 halving. The Bitcoin price did not reach a new all-time high until it reached over here in December of 2017. So this cycle is very different from any previous cycle. And this right here, all hedge funds. So remember, it's been roughly around 42 days since the capitulation event that we saw in the whole crypto market. You can see that happened to Pudgy Penguin. Same thing over here. Ever since that capitulation event happened, the price of Pudgy Penguins went down substantially. And look at even SPX 6900, the exact same thing, capitulation. Let's look at Bonk, same thing, capitulation to the downside. Shiba Inu, capitulation to the downside. As you can see, this is just a repeated thing about capitulation. So when I'm looking at DOG right now, it really hasn't capitulated that much compared to these other altcoins. In fact, if you look at the MACD, yes, we're in the fear and greed index, meaning extreme fear, but I don't think this will last long. I think eventually, if we do see a reversal to the upside, we could see a breakout. What's really interesting is, as I mentioned before, this could be invalidated where the MACD breaks to the downside because we were hoping that maybe the MACD will take us to the buyer's market. This is still in play. Listen, anything can happen. Last thing I want to say is moments like this are where the 99% panic and the 1% stay focused. Now, the reason I bring this up is because some of my best trades, such as Solana when I bought it at $8 and then went over $200 just within like a few months. Then Bonk I bought around $9 million market cap, went as high as 1.5 billion. And then Bitcoin, buying it really low. What I'm telling you is usually the 99% never buy these dips. And that's good. That's fine. You don't want 99% buying the dips because that means that you are late. That means everybody's buying your bags. And in fact, your exit liquidity. You want to be the 1% that buys the fear. And the reason this is important for you to learn, because if you can actually press the buy now button on whatever asset it is, if it's Bitcoin or DOG, if you can just press the buy button, it could be $10, it could be $20, it could be $100 or more, right? If you just learn to train your mind to buy when things are in fear, you've just learned a new skill. And you just learned something that is absolutely something that the 99% cannot achieve. So when the bull market does come, the 1% will sell when we reach new all-time highs and new all-time highs, so forth, so on, because they accumulated a big bag. So they sell like 10% here, 10% there, and they pretty much not dollar cost average, but sell cost average, if that makes any sense. So everything in a nutshell, you know that I'm very bullish on DOG, but this is the time. I've shared with you the data. Everything is showing us that we're going to reverse at some point or another by the end of this year. And that could be the extended bull cycle that we're talking about. So right now, with the number one meme coin, are you going to sit in the sidelines? Or are you going to be the 1% that dollar cost average and buys into literally the top asset on Bitcoin that's going to be and have a season of its own? It will happen, and this is going to happen most likely very soon. So let me know your thoughts down below, and I cannot wait to read them. So if you like what you've seen and like what you heard, please subscribe and like that button. Don't forget to join us on X to receive all of our alpha calls and updates regarding DOG and the Moon. Till then, see you guys, girls, Monday.